All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm joined once again with El Juanito. ¿Qué pasó, Juanito? El hombre loco. What's going on, Juanito?
Nino.
Oh boy, it looks nice where you're at. At least you're not in the direction of Hurricane Milton.
Well, for a few hours, and then I'll be out there where I'm headed your direction and further east. So,
So,
um,
all right, I find this very fishy, man, very sketchy. Hurricane Helene just hits. Now we got another one. This one could be even stronger than Helene. This one's a category 5 already, Juan. And I think, and without saying it obvious, what we're all thinking here on Fluff Tube, we can't say what it is, but you know, this is October, the October surprise. I'm sure there's going to be many October surprises, but could weather be one of them, Juanito?
well, I've said that all the way along, weather, earthquakes, volcanoes, all sorts of things. These are things that go back to the origins of SDI. We had attempted in some of the global conclaves to get an international agreement not to um, use these types of weapons in warfare. Kind of like having agreements not allowing use of um, gas weapons or chemical weapons against troops and things like that and civilian populations. But we're never able to ratify it. And oh, by the way, let me just take care of a little personal business real quick. I mentioned, I think it was on your show or one of them that some of these cookies that are out there, it's like they're made out of sawdust and glue and all that, holding them together that are supposed to be healthy, and because they don't have anything good in them. And I need to clarify that that doesn't mean that I think Jen's cookies are like that because she has her whole website is about being deliciously healthy. Now she was doing that long before I met her, and so she makes excellent food. And the problem is traveling like we've had to do. We don't, get the chance to use a kitchen or do our own stuff. We're just, literally very swamped. You know, even where I'm at here, I'm here doing some stuff related to the
Yeah.
election stuff and some other stuff, but I just haven't taken the time to actually enjoy it as much as I'd like to. And so, in Jen's defense, she makes the best cookies. I don't want somebody thinking that because she makes healthy cookies that they taste like sawdust or bad. My concern
Yeah.
was, they make these sawdust cookies. The real danger is that they're going to go to flame and cause people's houses to burn down, right?
Well, Juan, look what they're
And
blaming this on already. It says linked to human caused right here. I mean, we can't look, this is just they're already pushing it. They're already saying it, Juan.
well, I
Look
mean,
how
again, how asinine is that really?
I know, but be careful. It is fluff tube. I know my audience knows what we think, and I know what they think. But that's what this is what it's saying right here. The Hurricane Center describes the storm's rate of intensification as remarkable. The explosive development has occurred over record warm
But
waters in the
Nino,
Gulf.
you're not understanding. It isn't true that this is natural. The
Yeah,
only part
exactly.
that's in question,
Right, right. Be careful on this. Don't even say it. But yeah, we're all
I'm not
questioning
even
that.
saying it. I'm saying, okay. So, but exactly, which it's a little more direct than what they're implying. There is. I'm not in
Yeah,
denial. The origins of what's causing it, though, is inspiration or is it something else? So,
right. I can't.
um, and so, by the way, uh, it's a good test. They built these really, uh, super huge piers for protecting the FEMA ships down at a certain island location so that they could handle Cat 5 or higher and still be safe for all the people living on those FEMA ships in a semi permanent condition. Um, and so this will be a good test. It's coming right up through that neck of the woods.
Isn't there
Uh,
another one coming right after this one as well? Isn't there another one coming right after this one as well?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So they're formulating off the east coast of Mexico. Normally they're out there at West Africa, and they're later in the year than is normal. The peak of the hurricane season's already passed. So the question is, uh, why are they generating where they're generating and then coming up? And then part of the problem is this one's going to come up. It went from 600 millibars to 900 plus in 12 hours, which is a huge surge in pressure and weight, which is a big deal. You think of all the water in uh, by weight that's up in the atmosphere. That there's the carrying capacity of this moisture in that region. It's unfathomable almost how much weight there is there. As it moves north, it's going to hit Florida. It hits right where all of their power generation for the state is predominantly located. So instead of just knocking down wires, you might knock out the source of the power and take even longer to get it restored. But when they come in this direction, this way, oftentimes they glance off. Well, then it re-strengthens oftentimes. Where does it land next? Up there by Georgia, and then go right back in and hit, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, all that stuff. It's going to be interesting to see what.
Do they ever really originate in the Gulf? I know they always pass through the Gulf, but I've never seen it. It looks like this one's originating there, right?
That's the question. But let me just
Uh,
say this, and I've talked more extensively in other shows on it, and so I won't say very much here, knowing the environment that we're in. But we have controlled and had the ability to control across the continental U.S. and other parts of the world for quite some time. Now we've been able to influence it and do very minor stuff all the way back to World War II, Vietnam, raining out the Ho Chi Minh Trail and things like that. But we actually have an entire location in the central U.S. on one of the bases where we operate the control mechanism across the U.S. That's a response that was part of the SDI system, Strategic Defense Initiative, because Russia in the late 70s was using their large radar array in the northeastern portion of Russia to push out standing waves that essentially pushed the jet stream out of its normal flow. And it caused the jet stream to bend and come way deep down over America from where it was up in Canada, and to bring very cold, icy temperatures and moisture into the continental U.S. So you had the highest snowfall ever recorded on Mount Rainier, the highest snowfall ever recorded anywhere on planet Earth in one place at Mount Rainier in that 7980 range. And then oranges freezing on the vine in Florida. It disrupted the crops and our economy and everything. That was the basis for the beginning of the process to create the SDI system under Reagan, when they brought in Edward Teller, creator of the hydrogen bomb, Raisbeck, and other scientists, and they began the process of how do we respond to this attack on America with pushing the jet stream down. And that was the origins of Strategic Defense Initiative. It's also the context of why Reagan called Soviet Union the evil empire, and we began literally a covert war to take down the Soviet Union. It was over weather.
I mean, Juan, you got to see, like, look how everyone here is preparing for this, and you got to think to yourself, this is worse than being bombed almost, right? I mean, if you could just blame it on a hurricane, I mean,
Well, why would
all
you
people just,
differentiate? It is being bombed.
that's what I'm saying. Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, there may not be planes flying over with bombs dropping, but hey, man, if you can blame it on a hurricane,
Well, hold
that's
on a second.
genius.
There are planes. Look, the
Okay, I
weather,
know what you're talking about
the
here.
yes, and so you see it.
Yep. I look it
I've
up
got
in the
I've got
sky every
all the
day.
pictures. I sent some of you before this happened in North Carolina. The day before was the heaviest that most of the people involved, and I had people on the ground there sending me pictures continuously. this is the most we've ever seen, and we'd already seen ramping up a couple days earlier. Uh, it was just phenomenal, and we do this in war zones. Um, we did it in Iraq, Afghanistan, to help to create what we call inversion layers that reflect uh, energy waves, like
Juan, I
sonar
don't want to
or
talk
something
about
like
this
that.
on Fluff Tube. They're like going into those details, but let's talk about that on Nino's Corner.tv. Folks, we did an amazing show that's on there now. It's about an hour and a half long, with the weather, nuclear scare, a coming nuclear scare, and a gut punch, right, Juanito? A coming
Yeah,
gut
yeah,
punch that will be delivered to them, not us, correct?
yeah. That this next one is they're going to be on the receiving end of it. It's not date driven. There's a certain couple of events that have to happen, and
So
then
we're not
that
saying
goes
in
out.
October.
So
It's not going to. It couldn't make it. Could happen October, but it could be October, November, December. But
if I
just like
had
you,
any control, it would have already happened. The people that we deal in some of this stuff would have happened even a couple months ago. But it's coming. It's not nothing stopping it. There's a particular couple of events that have to happen, but it'll throw them on their keister for a bit and knock the wind out of them. So,
but it
uh,
has no
and
relation to P Diddy, correct?
no,
All right, so none of that stuff. But is that a? Would you say that's a distraction,
I
or is that
think it is. In the Magic Act, you have to have the flashbang, the girl with the plumage in her hair and backside and all that. You need that cleavage to pull your gaze, divert your gaze away from the magic that the magician does, so
cleavage
that
will do it?
for most of us, yeah, it's And by the way, it's even when you're not wanting to be distracted. The fact of the matter is that it's mental, it's physiology, it's a thousand things. Um, Even trying not to be distracted forces you to be distracted somewhat, and they're very effective. They're trying to take us, keep us focused on other
So what
things.
are we now in the operation or the phase of okay, we're not seeing anybody really, we're not seeing the vice president right now campaign around Hurricane Helene. It's almost like they just feel like they've got this in the bag. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? They almost feel like they don't need to really campaign. Am I right in saying that, Juanito? I mean, is it kind of like we
Well,
should be seeing them down there campaigning, helping the hurricane victims, and none of that is happening?
part of the issue is uh, is that something that you want to take credit for? The tardiness of the response, the inefficiency of the response, the lack of coordination between the locals and the equipment. If those people are there working a 9 to 5 job and people are under 24-hour pressure, where's the 24-hour response? They're not. They don't actually want to take credit for what's going on here. That's the fact of the matter.
So it looks like we're on track as we come into November. Like this is going to get, I mean, especially with Milton about to touch down. What I think it touches down tomorrow or Wednesday. I guess it's going to hit Wednesday. I mean, Milton, and then right after Milton, another one. I This
Well,
is not a coincidence to me. I mean,
the other one, I will tell you, there is an interesting aspect to it. Some of the people following the next one after Milton are saying that it looks like it may take an unusual course and head over to England, and a very rare event or circumstance. And I say, well, let's share. Crap, I don't mind if we share.
Juan, what about this? What about this $750 that they're giving each victim? Is that what's behind that? Also, I've heard it's like a
Well,
loan.
again, would you want to take credit for that when you're giving unfathomable quantities of money to people who aren't even here as legal.
Immigrants, right?
Yeah, unbelievable amounts of money to support them, and even in other places. And then the people that are actually paying the bill barely get. It's actually almost an insult. So, would you want to take credit for that, or is there, how do you deal with that? I would
I
say also that we're in a moment where everything you're in what we call the silly season. Everything is political. And so, if you get to have a news story covered or not covered, there's a political side to it. Let me tell you this: there should be lawsuits literally starting tomorrow because today university students in multiple states all got their personal information, including their cell phone numbers, given away by the administrations to one party and not the other.
mm,
And then they got a text reminding them of their need to vote and, vote for the
yeah,
candidate of that party.
I'm getting those texts.
Well, uh, so within the university system, including alumni, all of that information was illegally
Wow.
disseminated. Uh, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, other states, and they weren't allowed to do that. So, uh, on what basis was that given out? Who signed and gave the authority for that to be given out?
You know,
That's not right. Your
you
personal information is not free to give out to a political party.
now, Juan,
So,
I wanted to ask you one more question before we go to Nino's Corner.tv and then just let it all go. Let it all hang out over there. But I wanted to say this. West Coast. It's quiet on the West Coast. Could we get hit by an earthquake?
all quiet on the Western Front. Well,
Yeah.
I've said it a number of times just because the same technology that can affect weather can also, there's variations of it that can affect the magma under the earth, uh, earthquakes, volcanoes, other stuff. I mean, this goes back to this isn't playtime silliness. This is very real technology that we've got uh, great resources on. Most of the stuff that you've seen um, with energy weapons is relatively precise, um, neurosurgeon uh, precision. Uh, the broader, bigger stuff that can be generated, really big scale stuff. Uh, we've had some deployment of it, but it's hit and miss. I'll tell you one example. Um, there was a earthquake that was done down in Chile, and it was in the context of several others that were done other places when a particular system was being tested. And that earthquake happened with exacting precision to the second at a precise location. And all the numbers had relevance. This was, I don't know, over 2 decades back, 2.5 decades ago. And huge earthquake. Very little damage done. One roadway, I think, that got damaged. It was like a stress test for all the buildings in that region, which get very heavy earthquakes, but the timing. And with, for example, the earthquakes, it's not that they're creating all the energy that caused the earthquake. What they're doing is they're taking an area that already has stress and areas of stress and that energy all at once. Wouldn't you know when I come out and I
Yeah,
got to turn
but I
on the
mean
fan?
that's what we have to say here on, and I know people get sick of me chiming in here. I understand, folks. I get it. I understand. I know. But it's fluff tube. So Juan, let's go back to .tv and to finish the discussion there. Are you game?
Yeah, I viewed it just as a courtesy. Absolutely, bro. Let's go over there and we'll try to
All
have
right,
wrestling
folks, meet us
conversation
over at
here.
ninoscorner.tv. We're going there right now, and go to thejennifermack.com, thejennifermack.com. I'll put the link down below, and get loaded up on silver, folks. All right, Juanito, I'll see you at ninoscorner.tv right now.